No contact can be tough. I know that everybody is suggesting that you do it. I just told you a story about how I, did no contact many years ago in my time before I was, a relationship expert and just trying to figure out all this stuff on my own. And I know that so many people think that they need to do no contact. Now, don't get me wrong, there can be a lot of reasons to do no contact. There can be a lot of benefit that can come from it. But so many people present this oversimplified view about how it's supposed to work, about what happens. Some people even, use hashtag because science to say that, hey, after, 21 days, they're going to miss you the most because, habits or science or attachment theory or whatever. The truth is that each person is going to respond to no contact differently. Each person is going to deal with not hearing from you in a different way. I've heard thousands of stories from people at this point who have gone through breakups and been trying to save their relationships. And, I can kind of tell how a lot of this is going to go. But no contact isn't this magic cure-all that you want to be using all the time. It can have its place again, like I said. We'll get into that later. But it's not this magic cure-all. In order to just kind of give you an idea about how it may or may not work for you, I want to tell you what your ex is likely thinking during the whole no contact experience. A lot of this is going to depend on the context by which the no contact starts. There's a lot of different ways that it could start. Probably the most common ones are, hey, they're not responding to me, they're ignoring me, so I'm going to use no contact on them. That'll show them, or something like that. And, that's fine if you want to do that. In a certain respect, I understand. Like, if you're not getting anything from contacting them, why keep doing that, right? There's other things that I think you can do to try to move things a little bit more into an advantageous place for you. Before you just do something like no contact in that way. But I can understand why you do that. If that's the case and you've just been contacting them a lot and then you just stop and they're not putting in any effort, honestly, they're probably going to feel relieved at first. They're going to feel relieved that they don't have to worry about whether they should contact you, whether or not they should block you, whether or not they should just, leave you on red and just, do that and keep moving on with their life or whatever. They're honestly probably going to feel a little bit relieved. And then, of course, as time progresses, that relief may morph into something else, depending on, again, the nature of how your time together was. If there were really screaming obvious reasons for them to not be together with you, like if there's just really bad stuff going on or something like that, they might just continue to feel relief and think, hey, I dodged a bullet on that one. This is all right. In which case, hey, no contact is not getting you where you want to go. If there was goodness and warmth in your relationship, they might start to feel some degree of nostalgia after a while as they start to realize, hey, that option that I have or had of maybe someday talking to you is closing. Do I really want that to happen? Am I really okay letting this train leave the station? And again, I don't know. Maybe they are okay with it. Maybe they're not. Depends on how good or how bad your time together was. And things just might go that way. That could be enough to get them to reach out. I don't know. But in my experience, is probably not. Probably not. Especially these days. I mean, let's be honest. The way people have gone about dating and having relationships with one another has significantly changed over the past couple of decades. People see each other as more disposable, more commodity, more like a commodity these days. If you lost your girlfriend or your boyfriend, just jump on a dating app or a dating site, start swiping. You'll need someone else to replace them, right? Obviously, it's not that way, but it's kind of where our society has collectively gone in terms of how we value each other as human beings. Kind of depressing, but hey, that's where we are. I don't recommend you live your life that way, but that's by and large how the masses of people out there are going to see things. On the other hand, if your ex has been given the gift of responsibility over the state of the relationship, as I talked about in my last video, check it out in the little flyout card. Actually, I think it's on this side. Okay, check it out on the flyout card. Just click on the I button, the info button, and it'll expand out, and you can click on that video there. Having responsibility over the relationship means that you're not just not contacting them. You might not contact them. Maybe you do stay in contact with them, but you're letting them own the state of things in the relationship. You're giving them ownership over it, which means when they look back on this, whether it's tomorrow, whether it's next week, next month, whether it's years down the road, whether they're just imagining themselves thinking about this years down the road, they think, you know what, they were trying to do the right thing, but I just didn't respond. I didn't give them a chance. I walked away from a good person. And if you do that, then, maybe initially after you start that no contact, they might feel a sense of relief. Maybe. Again, it depends on how things were. If you had a big fight, maybe they actually enjoy having a little bit of time to cool off or to stew in things or to feel self-righteous about how they were the right person or something like that. Or maybe they do miss you. Maybe they do want to patch things up. Maybe they're like, wow, that was harsh. I want to apologize. I hope we can patch things up. Maybe they'll reach out to me or something. But after that period of time passes and they realize that you're not going to reach out to them, then they have to do that gut check. They have to say, hey, was I out of line? Was I being too harsh? Was I not being kind and forgiving enough? Was I not living up to the values of the person that I want to be? If you and your ex spent a good amount of time together and had a good quality connection with one another, then chances are they're not going to be able to just throw away your relationship with one another just like that. They're going to need to see you as a bad person. And if they can't see you as a bad person because you're behaving genuinely, trying your best to connect with them, trying your best to embody your own personal values and everything like that, trying your best to have a harmonious dynamic with them, they can't cling to that feeling of self-righteousness. And that's when they have to realize, what am I doing? Is this really how I want to end things? And so that's when they can feel motivated to reach out. Now, again, with all of this, they can bury whatever feelings they're having for a period of time in a rebound relationship or in, partying, drinking, drugs, any other sort of distractions that people might grasp towards. But once things settle down, they may have to confront this and might be thinking, okay, well, what if I'm in that first camp where they won't even respond to me? How am I supposed to make them take ownership? On a certain degree, I guess they do feel some degree of ownership, but you have to really position yourself first and foremost as the kind of person that they probably want to be in a relationship with. Now, good thing for you, you've already been in a relationship with them. They already find you attractive. So, hey, you got that going for you. And they must have wanted to be with you for some reason beyond that, probably. They probably saw something about your personality. And so the good news is that you're probably most of the way there. Maybe you're even all the way there. Maybe you just need to kind of tweak things a little bit because, hey, when we go through breakups, sometimes we go a little bit crazy for a period of time. Don't worry, I know, I was there. I did all that. I called 1 million times a day. I begged, I pleaded. I did all that sort of stuff. It's okay if you did that stuff, but you got to get it dealt with. You got to turn your attention inward and figure out where that's coming from. Understand that it's probably not meeting them where they're at emotionally, and realize that that's probably more an issue of your own internal state that you need to work on. Issues of self-worth, self-esteem, worthiness, that sort of stuff that honestly you're probably never going to truly be able to get from them. You have to start by loving and accepting yourself, all that sort of stuff. That's why we do a lot of deep emotional mindset and inner game kind of work with our clients. Beyond that, like if you really embody the kind of person they are likely wanting to be in a relationship with, by fully stepping into, a lot of the qualities that either people generally speaking want in a partner, like compassion, understanding, communication, kindness, etc. Or if you're stepping into specific things that that they like, whether that's ambition or masculinity or femininity or, some quirky little hobby or, whatever it is, I don't know. But if you start to really embody these things and you're truly embodying them, maybe even in, one of the last interactions you have together, before you take a step back, or don't even take a step back. Again, in my worldview, with my clients, no contact is optional. You don't have to do it. But I know that there's a lot of y'all out there that are listening to these other coaches and think that you have to do it. So let's just go with that for now. You don't have to be on, the Clay Andrews train, the modern love train right now. I'll meet you where you're at. And we'll just entertain the idea that maybe, just maybe, you have to do no contact, even though you might not. Weird thing too, by the way. A lot of our most successful clients actually never did no contact, now that I think about it. But yeah, if you are embodying these things in the last communication that you have, then it can really set you up for success. Because you're giving them ownership over the dynamic. They are seeing somebody who's embodying most, if not all, of what they're looking for in a partner. And they are choosing not to respond. They're choosing not to engage. They're choosing not to forgive. They're choosing not to have the conversation, not to respond to the comment, not to answer the phone, whatever. And that becomes the kind of thing that weighs on you. So even if they're not talking to you, you can try to do things like have a same team conversation. You can try to do things like have an open door message. You can try to do things like have a fresh start message or something like that to really open them up and demonstrate to them that you're the kind of person they probably do want to be in a relationship with. And that's going to start shifting things to give them responsibility over the state of the dynamic between the two of you. And that is what can motivate them. But in order to get there, in order to do that, you have to understand what's going on. So if you do, I want you to learn more about what your ex is thinking, about their emotional journey during their, what we call the 5 stages of getting back together. You can go ahead and check that out right over here in a video that I put together called The 5 Emotional Stages Your Ex Goes Through in Getting Back Together.